archams tapaspatim. Tapaspatim. Translation. When all these Pracetās were ordered by their father to marry and beget children, they all entered the ocean and practiced austerities and penances for 10,000 years. Thus they worshipped the master of all austerity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. Sometimes great sages and ascetics enter the Himalaya mountains in order to find seclusion from the turmoil of the world. It appears, however, that all the Pracetās, the sons of Prācīnabarhi, entered the depths of the ocean to perform austerity in a secluded place. Since they performed austerity for 10,000 years, this incident took place in the Satya Yuga, when people used to live for 100,000 years. It is also significant that by their austerity, they worship the master of austerity, Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one wants to perform austerities and penances to attain the supreme goal, one must attain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one achieves the favor of the Supreme Lord, it is to be understood that he has finished all kinds of austerities and penances and thus attained efficiency in their execution. On the other hand, if one does not attain the perfect stage of devotional service, all austerities and penances actually have no meaning. For without the Supreme Lord, no one can attain the highest results derived from performing them. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Lord Sri Krishna is the master of all penances and sacrifices. Bhoktaram jagatapasam savalokam maheshwaram. Thus the desired result of performing austerities may be derived from Lord Krishna. In Srimad Bhagavatam 3.33.7, it is stated, Aho batas vapachoto gariyan yaj jivagre vartate nama tubhyam tepus tapaste juhuvu sasnur aryab brahman nuchu nama grinanti ye te. Even if a person is born in a family of chandalas, the lowest birth one can get in human society, he is glorious if he chants the holy names of the Lord, for it is to be understood that by such a chanting, the devotee definitely proves that he underwent all kinds of austerities in his previous life. By the grace of Lord Chaitanya, one who chants the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, attains the highest perfectional stage which has previously been attained by people who entered the ocean and executed austerities for 10,000 years. In this age of Kali, if a person does not take advantage of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, which is offered as a great concession to the fallen human beings of this age, it is to be understood that he is very much bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord. So, this chapter is entitled Chanting the Song of Lord Shiva, a very beautiful chapter, and later on we'll read that as the Pracetās, the son of Prācīnabarhi, were going to do their tapasya, and they were going to go under the water. Here Prabhupada says under the ocean, but later on he clarifies that actually they were going to a lake which was near the ocean. And the ocean is, the lake is better because the lake is more calm, whereas the sea, sometimes there's a wind, there's rough wave, everything. So generally when one does the tapasya, here Prabhupada actually mentions, generally they go to the Himalaya mountains, they go in the cave. If you go to the Badrik Ashram, for example, or Gangotri, especially Badrik Ashram, there are many caves in the area, and many hermits live in these caves. Although some of them are not so genuine, still, just to go to a place like Badrik Ashram or Kedranath or Gangotri or Jamunotri or any of these places high in the Himalayas means that they want to get away from, as Prabhupada puts it, the turmoil of the world. The turmoil of the world. Although these days that practically you can't escape, even go high in the Himalaya, you can go high. They take the helicopter now to Kedranath. They take the helicopter to all these places. You've got the mobile. I was calling up our temple president at the time, Brisbane Temple, and I didn't know he was in the Badrik Ashram. And I was talking to him, and then he said, I'm in the Badrik Ashram. I said, because I've been to Badrik Ashram. The first time I went in there, for a long in the early 80s, hardly anything was there, just a few dharmshalas, and hardly anything was there. And we went the second time, the third time, it became a little bit more now. I heard it's so crowded with the different hotels. He was there, people can take the helicopter there. So the world has come there now. Before, actually, the military put the road there. Before, it is mentioned in the Shastras that when the Pandavas, of course, in the Mahabharata, when they went and there was no road. There was no road there. When Madhvacharya went to see Vyasadeva, there was no road. You had to go by a path. You had to ask which is the path, and it was very rigorous travelling. When Madhvacharya, I was still giving one class, when Madhvacharya went to see Srila Vyasadeva, Satyatirtha, his assistant, was travelling. But of course, Madhvacharya, being reincarnation of Vayu, and Hanuman also was jumping. He could just jump. And big boulders, you had to go over big boulders, all sorts of things. Satyatirtha, he couldn't keep up, and it was very difficult. And many times Madhvacharya told him, just go back. Just go back. No, I want to come, I want to serve you. No. So he was very determined, but he was falling more and more behind. And Madhvacharya could see he was struggling, and he was. So he thought, no, you just go back, and with a stroke of his hand like this, he went like this, and because he's a reincarnation of Vayu, he said a wind came there and took the Satyatirtha all the way back to Udupi. It's too difficult for you, too difficult. So there's many stories like that. But previously, you couldn't to go up there. As I said, because the border's not so far. The military have a base up there, and they put the road. So at least Badrik Ashram. The other places you have to go, but now you can go. Some of the devotees have been to the Kedarnath. They can go by the helicopter. You can just land in the Kedarnath and just walk 100 meters, and you're in the Kedarnath temple. So it wasn't meant to be like that. These holy places and these temples were put in very remote places to bring the people to the less congested areas, free from the turmoil of the world. It was meant to be a little difficult to get there. Actually, I talked to many of the head priests of the temples. Says, in the Shastras it's actually mentioned the temples were put in very difficult places sometimes, not always, but sometimes in difficult, and it was meant to cause some difficulty for the pilgrims because, as they were going, it was a bit hard, especially if you're climbing in the mountains, very hard, and the altitude, everything. And by the time, if you're fortunate enough, you're able to reach that place, all your passion is gone completely. All your passion is gone. You're very tired. When you get there, you just flop and surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is meant to be like that. But now, modern technology, hotels everywhere, and luxurious resorts. I heard on nearby on the way to the Badrik Ashram, there's one ski resort and all these types of things, and you can go there. Big luxury hotel. Himalaya was not meant for these things. A luxury hotel and all sorts of things there. The drinking and meat eating, all these things are there. Many years ago, the rishis of Rishikesh and Haridwar took a case because the hotel developers were coming, put in the hotel, they were selling alcohol and meat, and they asked them, don't do this, the holy place, you can't do here, but they ignored, and so they brought a court case against the developer, the hotel owner, and many years ago, and then they won. They were successful. Then the hotel appealed, and the sages the rishi, the Brahmins, everywhere were successful again. So it's supposed to be, maybe sneakingly they're doing, but supposed to be, no one is meant to serve the meat or the alcohol in these places. We have to preserve the holy places, and because they're meant to be sanctuary from the turmoil of the world. So Prabhupada mentions here previously, the ascetics, great sages, will go to the Himalaya. In this particular instance, the Pracetās had decided to go to the ocean, is another, or deep in the forest, or go in the ocean, or in this case, a lake near the ocean, very calm. And they were tapasya. Now Prabhupada also mentions here, their intention was to do tapasya, go in the meditation under the water, under the water doing the tapasya for 10,000 years. They could reduce their breathing. If you reduce your breathing and you just become practically no breathing. And this was all known to the people of the Satya Yuga. All known, how to do the tapasya, how to do the pranayama, the different types of the yoga. The Satya Yuga people knew. They lived 100,000 years also. 100,000 years the people lived in the Satya Yuga, so 10,000 would be someone doing something in this age maybe for 10 years or something like that. We did a long time for the people of this age. People hardly live to 100. So like the equivalent, say, comparison like 10 years, and in Kali Yuga if someone does the Tapasya 10 years, they were doing 10,000 years. And they went in the calm of the lake. That was their intention. Later on we'll read how along the way they met Lord Shiva, very, very fortunate to meet Lord Shiva, Hare Krishna. And, he doesn't give darshan to just anyone. So they were very, very fortunate. Now, why? They were very good boys. Very, very good boys. We read in the first verse, 24:13, that King Prācīnabarhi was very religious himself. I was reading before previously. We were doing this chapter in Auckland we were doing. And Prācīnabarhi, Prācīna means, it's mentioned earlier that he would organize the big yagya, he would have the kusha grass, he would have the points of the kusha grass facing the east. Apparently one translation of Prācīna means the kusha grass facing the east. So he was doing so many yagyas. Bahishat, his name was King Bahishat, but it was added later on King Prācīnabarhi. So he's very fond of doing yagya, a very dutiful king, very religious, a very wonderful wife, very, very wonderful. And so he was religious, wife was very religious, very mode of goodness, following all the Dharma, Shastras, taking the advice of the Brahmanas, all these things. And so he had the 10 children, and the 10 children were very, very nice. 10 children, and they were known as the Pracetās. All of them were equally endowed with religiosity. All of them were known as the Pracetās. Dharma Snataha, the 10 children were all merged in the practice of religion. They are in the mode of goodness. They possessed all good qualities, and Prabhupada gives some example here of what are some of the good qualities. And we can read in Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna describes to Uddhava, also Krishna to Arjuna, Bhagavad Gita in the 12th chapter, what are some of the good qualities a person can possess? What are the symptoms of one who has become very advanced devotee? And Krishna, throughout Bhagavad Gita, especially at the end of the 12th chapter, he gives description. What are some of the qualities? What are some of the symptoms? Prabhupada gives a few here. When one is perfectly religious, this is the perfection. One is supposed to be perfect when he's perfectly religious, perfect in the execution of one's vows. One takes vow, just like Kartik, you can do Kartik Vrata. There's so many vratas you can do, and you take the vrata and you follow it. So when you follow it very nicely, and you following Kartik, just like this month, it's Kartik month, very auspicious month. Kartik, favorite of Srimati Radharani. When was it? On Wednesday we had the Govardhana Puja was Adelaide. I think here also you had Wednesday, is it? Govardhana Puja. I was also talking about Kartik month, with the beauty of the Kartik. Actually, it's mentioned that Radharani's mother was now at that time the daughters in Vrindavan area it was very popular to name the daughters after the names of the daughters of Daksha, and Daksha had one daughter, the third daughter. Her name was Kirtika, and Kirtika can be variously told as Kirtida, Kirtika, and Kirtida, which is the mother's name of Radharani. She was known as Kirtida, Vrishabhanu and Kirtida. And Radharani was also known as Kartiki. Kartiki means born of Kirtika. Kirtika, another name of Kirtida. And Kartiki is born of Kirtika. And her favorite month it became known as Kartika. Kartika. And why? Because especially just like at the start of this month, Krishna Saradiya Rasayatra, full moon month, Purnim, Krishna Rasa Saradiya in the month of Shart. There's Rasa Yatra, means Ras Leela. Ras Leela, dancing. Also at the end, there's another Kartik Purnima. Some say also another Rasa Leela, dancing. So Radharani, her favorite pastime is Rasa Leela, dancing, and also many other pastimes in the month of the Kartik. So very auspicious month. Of course, Krishna's month is the favorite month is the next month, Margashirsha month, but because Radharani's month is her favorite is this month, it becomes Krishna's favorite month also. So all the bratas can be performed, and to take a brata, just like at initiation, we take the brata, we vow to chant the 16 rounds and follow the regulated principle. When you keep that, then that is one can become perfect at performing the brata. So this is another way to become perfect one's vows, perfect in knowledge. Of course, the perfection in knowledge is to understand that Krishna is the summum bonum. That is you can become perfect or have a big understanding of all the branches of the Veda and so many aspects of knowledge. But the topmost is understanding how Krishna is the source of all the knowledge and understanding perfecting good behavior. So one may have knowledge, but if his behavior is not good, that is not a very good example, not good for them also. So one has to have good behavior. So that means if one actually has good knowledge, actual knowledge, a jnana, and then has a vijnana, realization, then that will translate to good behavior. Good behavior. Realization of how to apply the knowledge, automatically it will become good behavior, and Prabhupada says, and so on. There's so many different qualities in the mode of goodness. All the Pracetās, all the sons were on the same level. They're very interesting, because in a family, if they had 10 sons, you would expect some may be good, others maybe not so good as the other ones. But here it's specifically mentioned by Prabhupada that all of them were on the same level. All the brothers had all the equal qualities of goodness, religious sons. And so they were ordered by their father to marry and beget children. Very, very wonderful. Now, mentioned here, I think later on it's mentioned, that because they were so good, because their father was so good, mother was so good, they were so good, had the perfection in so many ways, they carried the order of their father on, and it's mentioned, they carried the order of their father on their head. They had so much respect for their father. They had all good qualities. These days in Kali Yuga, especially materialistic people, they, in the Kali Yuga, very sinful. Father is bad, mother is bad, children also bad. The union of such a bad mother and father becomes Avana Sankara. Avana Sankara, so many people, there's so many father and mother, not good qualities. They're going to give birth. Some living entities are going to come as the children, and they cause disturbance. So we find that the disturbance. There's so much, every place in the world, practically in the cities, the youth disturbance. In Australia, in this country, big youth disturbance in the Alice Springs. Had to, they were coming and creating so much, breaking in the houses, causing the violence, threatening the people. In Melbourne, there's so much upsurge of the gang violence. All the youths, they go inside the shopping centre. Maybe you've read these. They go inside the shopping centre of the big mall or something like that, and they're fighting with knives, with machetes, right in the side of the shopping centre. People are horrified, running. So this is becoming more and more and more everywhere. Vana Sankara, bad father, bad mother, and Vana Sankara. Children grow up, they don't get proper education. They're born the living entity that is attracted to such father and mother is generally demoniac qualities. Because the father and mother have demoniac qualities, they attract the living entity with demoniac qualities. And then as they grow up, they become even more. Father and mother doesn't give any good guidance, and then that bad association, it becomes worse and worse. But these sons, Satya Yuga, very wonderful sons, all equal in the good qualities. The father gave an order. Sometimes if the sons are good but the father is bad, the father gives order, then you have to consider whether I'm going to follow. What is the order actually of the father? Maybe he doesn't give such good order. He's got the bad qualities. So it's not 100% that generally the the sons and the children have to follow the order of the father. But if the father is bad, sometimes in extreme circumstances he is to be given up or denounced. It's not that one has to just by force follow. You have to see who is the father and what type of instruction he's giving. If it is asura instruction, I want you to go kill all these people, the son who's got intelligence will not follow such a demoniac instruction. So we have to have discrimination. In the modern age, it's very difficult to be able to follow, and therefore so much trouble is there. But no problem for the Pracetās, and they took it on their head. The order of the father took it on their head. I want you to get married and beget children. Get married and beget children. And so, being very religious, and they understood who the ultimate Supreme Personality of Godhead is, the Supreme Lord, and to beget nice children, they did tapasya. They immediately understood, we want to get the nice children, so therefore we have to do tapasya. We have to, and why am I doing the tapasya? The penance. Penance is a little bit the penance, but sometimes these words are interchangeable. Austerity and penance. Austerity means you take a vow to do something. Penance means generally you're doing some vrata to counteract some sinful reaction. This is more of the penance. When you're doing the penance, that's like the Christians have this same concept. They're penances, because when the Catholics especially, they go to the confession and then confess their sins. And the priest says, well, for your penance, you have to do like this. So this is more penance. You did some sin and you go. And I guess you like the Prācetās in the Vedic concept. But penance is like that. You're doing some brata, doing something as given to you by some authority, and this is penance. And tapasya is extra, some brata, just like we do Kartik brata, as I mentioned. And so one can go and do these things. So they thought, the Pracetās thought that, yes, we're doing the austerity, and our purpose is to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Normally people are just living in the world, making a living, this, that, the other. But one goes out of their way to do something, to sacrifice something, and to please the Lord. Krishna pays special attention to that individual. Samoham sababhuteshu name dveshostina prayaye bhajanti tamam bhakti mayate teshu chapyaham. Samoham, I was giving one class in Adelaide to the youth. I said that, it's very good that you're coming together, and there's many of you doing the seva. Krishna says that Samoham sababhuteshu, I am equal, I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone, I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me with devotion, he is a friend. That person is in me, and I am a friend unto him. So Krishna is equal to all. And the Prabhupada gives the example of the rain. When the clouds pour the water, the rain, they pour over everywhere. Over the pastures, over the rock. It doesn't make the distinction. Pour everywhere. So Krishna's mercy is everywhere, but someone who goes out of their way to sacrifice something, to take brata, to do penance, to engage in devotional service, Krishna gives, I am a friend to that person. He's first of all, he says, I am equal. But then there's another verse, everyone follows my path, but as they surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. So Krishna is looking after everyone, but someone who surrenders, according to the degree of the surrender, Krishna reciprocates accordingly. So they thought that to get nice children, ultimately we have to satisfy the Supreme Personality of God. It shows the sons had very good intelligence because they were in the mode of goodness. When you're in the mode of goodness, you can have, your intelligence is also good. Your intelligence is sharp, it's properly developed. When you're in a passion ignorance, it's compromised. It's clouded by your desires in the passion, by your desires in ignorance. You will rationalize. You're in the mode of passion. You want this sense gratification. in the mode of you want the other sense gratification in the mode of ignorance. Mind comes up, all ideas in the mode of passion and ignorance, and then the intelligence is dragged. All right, you have to work out now how to fulfill these desires. So that type of intelligence is a compromise, a covered over intelligence. But when one rises up to goodness, especially the spiritual, then the intelligence becomes very clear, very, very clear. Mind becomes clear, intelligence becomes clear. Understand, all right, now, Father has ordered us, get married. All right, we're going to get married, certainly, but before we will prepare. And obviously, King Prācīnabarhi was very pleased. He didn't try to stop them. No, why do all this? Just get married and have children. No. He allowed them. He gave the permission. They wanted to perform the tapasya, and they were going far away to do it. Please the Supreme Personality of God. One goes out of their way, as I said, to go to the holy place. So many places, it takes some effort to go there. So they were prepared to make that effort. And so later on we'll see how they meet Lord Shiva. By the grace of Lord Shiva, he appreciated. He knows everything. He purposely came. It appeared by coincidence they were going, and Lord Shiva was coming with his entourage. But actually Lord Shiva wanted to meet with these boys because they were good boys. And he wanted to, he knew their purpose, worship the Lord. And so later on we'll read how he gives some nice, because this chapter is entitled The Song of Lord Shiva. He gives some very nice, beautiful mantras he gives, glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he said that you're going there and you're doing the meditation. In your meditation, you chant these mantras. You chant these mantras in your meditation. That you can chant mantra loud, or you can chant within the mind. So he gave a series, we'll read later on in this chapter. He gave a series of very beautiful mantras composed by none other than Lord Shiva, so they're very perfect. When we chant the prayers by those who have composed the prayers, they're very advanced. This is more potent. So when we chant those prayers, just like anyone can make prayer, it's good that you make prayer to Krishna, Radha Krishna, and Jagannath, and Gauranga, very good. But the best is you offer the prayer already composed, because these prayers have very nuanced meanings behind the very high level understanding. We're beginning devotees, or something, maybe we're practicing for some years. We can make some prayer, but we're not so high on the rasa level to make the high level prayers. That's why in the morning, Govinda Madi Purusham, we chant Shikshashtakam, we chant Damadarashtakam. Why we don't chant our own prayer? We could, but how many mistakes maybe we say something bad. We're thinking, I'm going to make some nice prayer, but actually, because we're not so advanced, we make something that actually may be a little bit insulting. So therefore, just like with Lord Chaitanya when he was in Jagannath Puri, many came to him and wanted to show their work to him, their song or their literature, but he always got Sarup Damodar Goswami to check it first and make sure there was no rasa basa, make sure it was proper, and he would vet it before presenting to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya didn't want to be inundated with all these things, especially they're not so good. So he always checked it, and no, this is not very good. You have to do better. Check with the proper authorities before you want to present to Lord Chaitanya. So we have to be like that. So, therefore, Damadarashtaka, Mangala Charan, so many prayers we have our songbook. These are very high grade, though. Narottam Das Thakur, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so many great. There's rishis, there's great devotees, there's maharishis. There's a difference between rishi and mahar. Maharishi, they're within their heart, they're composing so many works. So when we're offering prayer, we follow the prayer given to us by a great devotee, great authority. And Prabhupada actually mentions later on, just like when we get in, the Maha Mantra, for example, mentioned here in this purport, is very powerful, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But when you get initiated, and that mantra, it is Krishna, manifest in sound. And if it is given by a very great devotee, guru, Krishna is very happy, and he becomes even more manifest in that mantra. You understand? Some devotees have asked me over many different times, said, well, why we have to get the mantra from the guru? Why the mantra is already available. And he says chant Maha Mantra. So we're already doing it. But when Guru gives it, you make commitment to chant continuously. That's one. There's many aspects. And the other thing is that when that mantra is given to you by the Guru, Krishna is so happy that Guru is giving to you and you're accepting, you're making commitment that he manifests even more strongly. Even more strongly. And Prabhupada makes a point of that. When Lord Shiva gave these mantras to these boys, he composed them. Lord Shiva composed them. And that he said that became even more powerful if they had gotten some other mantra from somewhere else. So, but Lord Shiva gave these mantras. He composed it. So whatever he composes is fully perfect. This is the power of Lord Shiva. A very wonderful story. We'll read more later on. But here, the point that Prabhupada is making here, they worship the Supreme Personality of God. He is the master of all the tapasya. And he quotes this verse, Bhoktaram Jagatapasam, Savaloka Maheshwaram, Suriram Sabbhutanam, Kyatvam Santim Richati. Now, why is Lord Krishna the master of the tapasya, and so on and so forth? It is because he is the recipient of all the efforts. It is he who is the benefactor. You're doing the tapasya, you're doing the penance, you're doing so many activities in devotional service. He is everything that comes from him originally. All tapasya, all knowledge, all fame, all beauty, all wealth, all renuncia, all the things come from the Supreme Lord. So he is the object of your tapasya. He is the receiver of your tapasya, and he is your benefactor. In this verse here is actually, and I am the benefactor and well-wisher of all the living entities. I am the benefactor. Benefactor means he gives. He gives. Now what he gives is up to him. We may approach him for something. Krishna can give, and so much more. Just like in Adelaide, we've been reading the section from the Bhagavatam about Sudama Brahmana when he went to visit Lord Krishna in Dwarka, and Rukmini and Krishna got up and received him so nicely. A very beautiful story. And then he had some flat rice. He was ashamed. He didn't want to offer, but Krishna just snatched it and took one handful and was eating. And Rukmini said, no, that's enough. He wanted to eat more. So that he'll become even so opulent just by you taking just one handful. And so, but Krishna didn't give him anything immediately, which is a little bit unusual. But Sudama was so overwhelmed just taking the darshan of all, he forgot everything. And he just was going home. Krishna bowed down before him, followed him on the road even, and he bowed down before him. This is Krishna, even though he's the Supreme Personality of God. Of course, when he came home, he couldn't recognize it. Before it was village. You can go to this place. Now it's called Pobanda. And before it was called Sudama Puri. There's a nice temple there of Sudama there in the middle of Pobanda. You go there and you visit the temple of Sudama. And he couldn't recognize. Before it was a small village. And he couldn't recognize. What's this? All of a sudden, palaces were there. All the denizens looked like from the heavenly planets. What's this place? He couldn't recognize. And then maidservants were coming out with garlands, with the music playing, throwing the flowers on him. What's all this? He couldn't even recognize. And then he understood that this must be Krishna has given me this. He understood. And then some beautiful lady came out, also with garland, to garland him. And he couldn't recognize. He couldn't recognize. The description was that she went to, they were so poor, he had to even beg the rice. Sometimes they weren't eating. A poor Brahmana. He had to beg the rice to give to Krishna. They didn't even have the rice. Some days they didn't eat. Whatever someone gave, they would take. Some days they didn't eat. Poor, old clothes, torn clothes. She went to sleep at night. When she woke up, the whole village was transformed. Her body was transformed. She lived in a palace all of a sudden. The palace was full of manservants and maidservants. So she came forward. He didn't recognize her. But then he said, is this my wife? He kind of had an idea. Is this my wife? Is this my wife coming? And then the maidservant said, yeah, actually, this is your wife. And so it actually mentioned there by the acharyas that Krishna kept Sudama looking the same, so she could recognize him. And then when she put the garland on him, Krishna just arranged. His body changed. He looked like a demigod, like all the others there. So Krishna can give so much. So he is the benefactor. He can give, or sometimes he doesn't give. Whatever is good for you. He is like a father. A father sometimes gives to the children, sometimes doesn't give. If it is going to be bad, The children can say, Daddy, give me more ice cream. No, you've had enough ice cream. No, give me. No, you'll become sick. You're not going again. I'm not going to give you ice cream. And then the children become angry. You're bad, Daddy. I hate you, Daddy. I want to get other Daddy. So it can be like that. We are like the children. Sometimes we go to Krishna, we ask, but we don't get what we want. Then, oh, Krishna is no good. He's no good. Here's this and this and this. So this is our level, isn't it? People can be like that. But Krishna can give. But he gives what is actually best for you. So here's the benefactor. So Prabhupada quotes this, Bhoktaram Jagatapa Samsava Lokameshwara. He is the Supreme Lord of all the planets, of all the universes, the ultimate beneficiary and the benefactor. That's why he's known here, as referred to here, as the master of tapasya, the master of austerity, because he is the recipient and everything comes from him. And someone who knows this, the well-wisher, he's always wishing well for everyone. Here's your friend, just like I quoted that Psalm of Hamsavabhuti. Actually, he's your friend. He's accompanying you everywhere, every life you've had, and I've had. Just everywhere he's accompanying, just arranging everything according to how you acted, according to your desires. Everything is arranged. But he's your friend. He wants you to come back ultimately. So Prabhupada says that this verse actually is the formula for peace all over the world. Bhaktaram, he used to quote this so many times, Bhaktaram Jagatapa Samsavalo, a very famous verse from Bhagavad Gita. He would quote it to the outsiders so many times. When they asked him, I remember one reporter asked him, what's your formula for peace in the world? He would quote this verse, Bhaktaram Jagatapa. You have to understand who is the proprietor, who is the source, and if everyone is united, then there can be a peace in the world. He is the greatest of all. One can worship the others, even Shiva and Brahma, but he is even greater than Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva. Tam Ishwaram Paramam Maheshwaram. He is the greatest of the greatest. And unless one understands these bare facts, Prabhupada points out here in this purport here, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually, you can't be peace with yourself, and what to speak of together, having the peace. So this is a very famous verse. And also, in this purport today, Prabhupada quotes this, Aho Batas Papachoti To Gariyan. He said, even if a person is born in a low family, Chandalas, if he is glorious if he chants the holy name of the Lord. Because it's understood that by such chanting, a devotee definitely proves that he underwent all kinds of austerities in the previous life. So you may be born, your circumstance may be mixed. You did some very good activities, but you did some not so good activities. So you got your karma maybe mixed. You have to come back in a poverty-stricken, maybe not so good situation. But because you did some good activities, and maybe you met even devotee, you're again given a chance to come again to the devotional service. 1% done, 2% done. Someone asked me at the youth program the other day that, what if someone chants, but they also did some sinful activities or something like that, will they be liberated? I said, well, that'll be mixed. Yes, you're chanting, but then you did some maybe you murdered someone. You did some chanting, but in a moment of the madness, you became angry and you murdered someone. You'll have to get some reaction. That you've come under Krishna, but Krishna can decide what he wants to do with you. You'll get some reaction. Maybe you'll most probably you'll suffer. So someone who is born poverty or so many disadvantages means he did something not so good in the last life. But if he takes up the devotional service, it means he did some good things also. Especially if he takes up the devotional service, it means he met with some devotee or did some devotional service at some point, and he is again brought. You never lose, I told them, you never lose the devotional service. You may have to get some reaction for your sinful activity, but you don't lose the devotional. If you did 5%, 10%, again you will start from the 10%. You start from the 10%. It is then neha bikramana sushi pratyavayana vidyate. Svapam apashyatama shatrayato mayato bayat. There's no loss or diminution on this path. You did 5%, you'll start again 5%. It doesn't become nil again. Start again from the beginning. No. This is the Krishna's mercy on us that he awards this position. So if someone has done that, and especially doesn't matter in this age, you can be born low, but if you come to the chanting, now Prabhupada especially points out, it is all by the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that we have got this chanting of Hare Krishna mantra. He was promoting this Hare Krishna chanting and going everywhere, just chanting, dancing. So especially for this age, The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is very much promoted. Maha mantra, very powerful, given by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is very important in this age. Hare Krishna mantra is very powerful. Already the Hare Krishna mantra was there in so many shastras, but in this age, especially given through the mercy of and the grace of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So if one can chant like this, one attains the highest perfection. Doesn't matter how, what he came from before. What he came from before. So this type of perfection, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, can only come by his mercy. And previously they had to go and do these tapasyas. 10,000, Prabhupada specifically says here, people entered the ocean, they went to the Himalayas, executed austerities for 10,000 years. But who can do that these days? Even going to the Himalayas is so hard. You can maybe go there, but to live there, to high and it's not so difficult. Generally, they come down. Those temples, they come down. I know in Badrinath and other temples, it's because it's snowing out. You can't stay there. And so they lock up the temple. And then they come down lower. The priest of the Badrinath, he told me, they said, after October, November starting, the snow comes, we can't stay here. It's too severe. And so we lock up, we leave the paraphernalia actually for the worship of the Lord. And he says, sometimes we come back and we see someone's used the paraphernalia. We don't know who were that, some mystic, he said like that. Some mystic, and he said that the sages come and they worship Lord Badrinath. So anyway, so the story's like that. So to live in these cold places, high in the Himalaya, who can stay under the water? I remember as kids we used to play and go in the swimming pool or something and see who can stay under the water the longest. And so we used to do like that, but after 30 seconds or a minute you had to come up, you couldn't stay. But these ones were doing, so this is all about the breathing, the pranayama. They were masters of it in the Satya Yuga. It came automatically to them. They could slow it down so you can live under the water 10,000 years. So they had to do these types of things. But who can do it? No one can do it. We're very fortunate. It is to be understood, if someone doesn't take advantage of this great concession to people of the fallen human beings, the Prabhupada puts it this way, in this age. If someone does, that means they're really an illusion, and they're bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality God. Very unfortunate. But the Krishna conscious movement is there. Prabhupada always told us that it is to make the unfortunate people fortunate. It's very auspicious that if they see a devotee, hear the chanting, take some prasadam, get one book, any way they come in contact, that auspiciousness has started for them. Maybe this is the first beginning. Maybe they're brought again. From the last life they had some touch and again they're brought. So who knows? That Krishna knows. But we can make them fortunate. But otherwise they're really unfortunate people, and the Kali Yuga is going to advance. And we were just saying in the Govardhan Puja class I was giving that it is said that as long as Govardhan are present and Jamuna River is present in the Kali Yuga, the full effects of the Kali will not be felt. And of course, the Govardhan got the curse, and the Jamuna is drying up. So it said when they disappear, then the full effects come into play. Of course, we're chanting Hare Krishna mantra, so creating auspiciousness. So it's a very important activity. So thank you very much for coming to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. And so King Prācīnabarhi begot 10 children in the womb of Śatadruti. All of them were equally endowed with religiosity, and all of them were known as the Pracetās. When all these Pracetās were ordered by their father to marry and beget children, they entered the ocean and practiced austerities and penances for 10,000 years. Thus they worshipped the master of all austerity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Yes, Prabhu. They leave their body before the initiation? Yeah. They were chanting before. Oh. All these things, you have to remember Krishna is in the heart. So he knows all these things. So there's general rules and general principles, and then there is exceptions. Krishna sees, this one, he wanted to maybe get initiated, but he was very sick and he passed away. So Krishna gives special opportunity for this one, if that person is very sincere, just by some circumstance left the body beforehand. Krishna will give opportunity in the future, again come to the point and become guided by and made the commitment. So that person, or if actually that person is very, very advanced, some rare circumstance, Krishna may just say, I'll take him. I'll take him back home. He was chanting, he was doing everything. Practically, he was like initiated. Just by getting the mantra. Of course, Lord Chaitanya initiated Rupa and Sanatan just by giving mantra. There was no formal yagya. Actually, just by giving the name, chanting, just by giving their name, and they were initiated. So there's different procedures, and the very powerful personality can do as they want. But generally they do by showing example, but they are not limited. If they want, they can just empower someone. They don't have to have formal initiation. They just empower someone. But someone may not have, maybe he got the initiation, diksha, but of course a lot of the advancement comes from the shiksha, getting the instruction. So there's two ways, shiksha and diksha. So we have to see who the individual. If they were chanting, certainly so much benefit is there. Maybe they passed away. Krishna knows everything. He'll give nice position for that devotee. Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for that class. My question is I was wondering, we talked about being Prācīnabarhi, being so religious and its sons have also this quality, but again, in next chapters, coming chapters, we see Narada Muni telling, because there's a story because King Prācīnabarhi was engaged in so much spiritual activities, and there is whole Puranjana story.
Yeah.
How is some person who...
Yes, but sometimes one has to be careful. One is following very nicely. Even in the story of Ajamil, he was a very good Brahmana in the beginning, very obedient to his father, all good qualities, married beautiful wife, everything good, but circumstance, Prācīnabarhi wasn't like that. Prācīnabarhi were very religious, but sometimes you can, you're absorbed in ruling the kingdom and you're just absorbed in doing the yagya. And Narada Muni, you're becoming too absorbed in these things, doing this yagya for this benefit, that yagya for that benefit. Why not, concentrate? You've been a long time here. So he wanted to extricate him and cut that, any attachments he may have had. He was a very good king, but he wanted to bring him up to the topmost levels. That Narada Muni wanted to bring him to the topmost. So we read later on, and he told the story of King Puranjana, and then when he heard like that, he was able to become detached and just immediately concentrate fully. So it was a question, it wasn't that he was a fallen person, he was doing the religious person, devotee of the Supreme Lord, but doing so many things. So Narada Muni wanted to bring up to the topmost level. So that's why he said, now don't worry about all these other things, you just surrender to Krishna directly. And so he did like that. Sometimes we need to have a little bit of a pinprick to push us in certain directions. So this is how we can understand that whole pastime as it's going to come up now. All right? Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Go Premanandi. Hari Hari Bo.